Welcome to Pear Deck. You're probably wondering what Pear Deck is. I had never heard of Pear Deck until I started doing research on technology that I could use in my classroom. Since we are a Google-based school, this is something that's a really great tool. You go to add-ons while you're in your Google Slides, and I've already added it, but if you would just search in there Pear Deck, and you'll find Pear Deck. So open the Pear Deck add-on, and as you can see over here on the sidebar, it has lots of different information. So we have beginning of lesson, bell ringers, and do nows. So you can have those during the lesson and end of lesson. And it also includes some featured content, some critical thinking. Ask a student a question. You can have text, choice, numbers, website, draw, and draggable. So I'm going to actually go to a lesson now that I've created with Pear Deck. So this is a lesson on the meat we eat. So this is one that I have created. I'll just kind of go through here step by step some of the things that I put in here. So this is kind of the beginning of the lesson. Draw or type two things you already know about today's topic. And we have some terminology. Then considering different viewpoints. So draw or type your thoughts on this topic in one head. Draw or type the points of view of a different person in the other. So as you can see, this is very interactive. This slide here, I have a question for them. And then they're actually going to choose an option. So with this, you can insert audio. You can have some video. Very, very interactive. The slideshow as you're going allows students to think about, am I comprehending what we're going over? Again, another question I have here. Then also, how well do you understand what we've covered? You know, sometimes you get to the point and the students are like, wow, you know, they're really not understanding anything. Then drag to indicate whether you disagree. The question was, meat is an important commodity. And so then they can answer that question. And then at the end, pretend your friend was absent from class today. So now we're going to go actually over here, and I am logging in on my phone so that we can actually see what it looks like when we are presenting the lesson. So the first question, it tells me that I'm connected. I have a link that I had sent to myself, and it says, how are you, while we're waiting for things to get started, how are you feeling today? You can have a happy face, a smiley face, or a so-so. And so it's going to be loading the presentation on my device. You can also have it on your projector, so you can be watching, you know, both of those. So I am connected, and we're going to go ahead and start the class. So this is what it would look like as you're presenting. So the meat we eat today, meat science. And as it goes, it shows me exactly what is on my screen, also onto my computer screen. Draw or type two things you already know about this topic. And we're just going to type in here. So we're going to do some text. And I've typed that in there. Again, this can be used on their computers, and then also on their iPads, and you know, even a cell phone if you allow cell phones. So I've went ahead and typed my responses in there. So I'm going to click here, show responses. Meat is tasty and I eat meat daily. So as you have those responses from your students, those would show up on there. So then we kind of talk about what they know about today's topic before we go on. So the next thing, we're going to talk a little bit about the terminology. Again, it's showing up on the student's screen just as it is on my screen. So we talk about, and consider different viewpoints. Draw or type your thoughts on this topic in one head, and draw or type the points. So as you can see, it's super interactive. They can go ahead and put their thoughts there. you know, this is a great tool to use for your students, especially those that, you know, are missing class. If they're absent, this is something you can put on there and they can kind of look and see what we've gone through. You know, probably the purpose of this is just that total interaction. So everybody's able to contribute. Maybe some of them aren't verbal ones, but they will type it. You know, I chose this because of the diversity of it. You know, it just allows the students to really kind of think a little bit deeper and to focus as you're going along. As you're sitting up there lecturing, you don't know if the students are gathering the information that you have or not. So we're done with this one, and I put my information in there. So we're going to show responses. My point of view is I love meat. Other point of view is some people don't eat meat. And as we go along, again, this is a question, and I need to answer the question. And I actually put this in there. You know, they could choose from what type of meat that they had. So again, we're going to show our responses. So this way you can actually see student engagement. You know, you would know how many students you have in the class, and if somebody's not answering, then it might be time to kind of walk around there and check on them and see if they're paying attention. So again, this is one that they would just type their response in, and it has a graph, so it will actually show you on that one. So, and then, you know, how well do you just understand what we just covered? And again, the students can put this on here and they're like, oh, you know, and nobody has to know which student has responded to what. We'll show the responses, and it's waiting for my responses. So chances are if this comes back and there's several students that don't understand, maybe it's time to cover that material just a little bit more. Like I said, this is, you know, ways for you to be creative. Just kind of assessment as we're going along. So I'm pretty sure I understand. I've got this, move on. I'm a little confused, but I think I'll get there and I'm totally lost. So if you have the majority of your class that's answering down here, then you're thinking, okay, I probably need to go ahead and do a little bit of backtracking. You know, the purpose is just that active. If students are interactive and engaged, then they're more active learning. So this is a question. Meat is an important commodity, and they're either going to say agree or disagree. So they're going to drag this dot, and then we're going to show our response here. And so you could see how many students have their dot here versus on the disagree, and then go ahead and talk a little bit about it. So anytime you see this down on your slideshow, you know that you have the Pear Deck on there. So, and then this would be your end of class assessment. Pretend your friend was absent from class today. Write what you would say if you had to explain this lesson to a friend. You know, so students can actually type what they learned. This would also be a good way for them, depending on their responses, of who wants to help that student that was gone go over the notes. So we learned a lot about meat. So as you can see, this is Pear Deck. I'll go back here to our Google Slides. You go to your add-ons, and then if you go to get add-ons, of course I already have Pear Deck, but if you just right here it is, and then you can click on that. Super tool to use, so you can put it right into your Google Classroom, and happy Pear Decking.